any given time and age, life constantly calls us to begin again, to start all over again, to face challenging situations in the hope of emerging more hopeful and more fulfilled. Throughout my life and my work, I have had so many times, so many opportunities to start all over again. And this morning, I will briefly share my experience of experimenting with new beginnings and how new beginnings invite us to investigate more and deeper in who we really are as we get called to live our values in the world. For more than a year now, I've been going through a process of changing my name, essentially deepening my spiritual identity, my connection to my roots and to my ancestors. I can tell you it has been quite a spiritual journey. I was given a name by my parents, Ndagijimana, and Fulgence by missionaries who baptized me. I, my parents, my friends and neighbors can clearly relate to Ndagijimana. They know what it means. But few can really relate to Fulgence, which is a foreign name that no one knows the meaning of. In a culture in which names are powerful in the sense that they convey a message to the person who carries the name, to the community that received the child, and to the parents who choose the name. The process got more meaningful by virtue of me being in Canada. While navigating and learning this culture and learning its beauty and appreciating all the differences, I also got to appreciate even more my Burundi and African origins. It dawned on me that cultural alienation is real and takes a lot from us. It robs from us the capacity to drink from the familiar and natural well and relate to our fellow human beings from a place of strong and stable identity, a place of stability and enough. Most traditional religious practices are either illegal or looked down upon by Christianity in Burundi. Christianity, which in its failure to incorporate and embrace valuable cultural elements in its teachings, sees everything from our traditions as a threat to its often very shallow message. A message shared with people who are essentially invited to deny themselves culturally in the process of living their faith. In that tradition, name is given by parents and always, as I said, have a meaning of who you are or need to be, or carrying a message for the next generations. It's like a book. You can read the name and know or guess what was happening when the child was born. And when you grow up, you may get another name from the community because of who you are, your skills, your character. If you are a good hunter, you may get a name related to hunting. Maybe you are a generous person, you may get a name related to generosity and so on. And when you are an adult, you can give yourself a name as a life mission. You decide by yourself to choose a name according to what you want your life to mean for you and for others. And all of that is expressed through a name. I decided to give myself a new name and to clarify my last name. My chosen name, now you all know, is Miusa Wineza, Miusa for short, meaning the one who reminds people to do good and be kind. Many of Burundi names have mana, God, in them. But Christianity and Islam being so dominant now, it is often heard that the mana we are talking about is actually the Muslim or the Christian God. I clarify the mana in my name, my last name, is the God of our ancestors. At the very least, their understanding of God, whatever it may be. These small, seemingly things has a large implication for me. It's a life mission, a name that I have chosen to live and be inspired by, to live a life geared towards others, because life can only have a meaning in a relation, community. New beginnings or a renewed focus on what exists already is always needed for more than just names or tradition. Maybe there is a conversation we have dreaded to have for so long, and that may need a new beginning. Maybe there is a project we have postponed so many times. Maybe there are relationships you have refused to let go of or to embrace. And so many more other beginnings are waiting to be looked at and faced with hope and determination. It seems to me that new beginnings are both a statement of who we are, where we are at now, and who we need to be or where we need to go. When the person we are, who behaves and acts in a certain way, when we are at a point when we need to open to something new and different. The new beginnings are chartered and lived in a community. The community is helpful and nurturing when they support and encourage our various expression of identities. And this is where a community like Unitarian Universalist communities play an important role in nurturing and supporting different identities. When we think about difficult and complicated issues, maybe issues some of us have spent all our lifetimes working on with no result to show for, or even worse, reverse what we have thought was secured for good, it can be difficult to get motivated and stay focused and want to start again and again and again. Should we again work for peace when we don't see progress during our lifetime? When wars and the rumors of wars are all we hear? Can we continue working for reconciliation and peaceful cohabitation when it looks like divisions keeps increasing? Can we continue to push for climate change measures when the opposing forces seem so powerful and the environmental catastrophe seems closer and closer? Can we continue to work to eradicate poverty, work which is never ending? Although the hunger situation has improved compared to past centuries, many people, far too many, still starve to death, either for lack of access of health or nutritious food, or because they are prevented from having food. Every time I visit refugees, I get overwhelmed by the misery, by the level of need. And if Fleming Charities International helps 50 or 100 among the hundreds of thousands who need help, is it worth it? I get the satisfaction that the work is worth the effort, regardless of how many will actually serve, because the life was touched and changed, but I'm aware of the limitations. There are so many causes that need us to keep beginning again every day and literally repeat what we did yesterday and last year and many years before. I was born in Burundi, in quite a very unstable country. And sometimes I catch myself thinking that I probably joined my ancestors before something stable, be proud of, is real and tangible. But should we stop working for that? We believe that in our culture, we believe that you do what needs to be done. And when your part is done, the next people continue the work that you started. And that to me is so important because it takes off our shoulders the expectation that the world will be changed just by one person, me or you. We need to believe in the power of humanity, the collective power of all those who want to do good in the world and in our communities. But the question remains, why do you keep trying? Why don't you give up? Why do you still take risks instead of being safe and cozy? Get your hands dirty and change the situation for the better, or hope to it. And this is where a strong case of what keeps us going is posed. Why do we keep going? What motivates us? What motivates me? I think the motivation for us, people of faith and goodwill, is the values we stand for, the world we want to build, the legacy we would like to leave the world with. And when we do something just for the sake of doing it, because we believe we are doing the right thing, we have found a reason for waking up every day and then starting off where we left off and keep starting all over again. Because the lack of results do not keep us from continuing. As part of who we are, we respect and value people young and old, regardless of skin color. And we as a faith community encourage individuals in their search for meaning without confining them in predetermined box. This helps us bring to life to our identity and the other various identities as well. Values are like guideposts. They remind us of what is important, and they keep hope alive. Without hope, it would be difficult to keep going and do things even when the result is not forthcoming. In the work, in the difficult conditions and with the limited resources, I always see my work as that work providing hope when hope is hard to find. The person in need who sees some others helped is reminded that all is not lost, that things could change. The person who gets a word of encouragement may work harder and smarter to get out of the situation thanks to ideas and the possibilities that a supportive word, presence, can provide. One person at a time, one child at a time, one community at a time, and eventually change happens. All of us gathered here today, we serve the world in different ways. And whichever way we serve, if based on an identity that we can relate to, or even better, an identity we have participated in crafting, then we can follow our values as guideposts and create and provide hope. There are people who need a fresh look from us. Maybe they need understanding, less judgment, or maybe there are some boundaries that need to be set. Maybe not all the people need to stay in your lives. This fresh look that relates to your identity is what our lives often long for. There are also projects, possessions, or stuff that need a fresh look. Those are new beginnings. Because a new identity, we need new possibilities. What a joy it is to know that with the necessary support from the community, from friends and partners, we can lead a life that is connected to who we are. Gives us the reality of operating from a space of joy, stability, peace, and hope. Your theme for this month speaks for the liberating power of love. It is these acts of love, small and big, that eventually bring about the change that we all work for in our different endeavors to transform the world and make it a better place. That love has been expressed in many ways by you, the people of Toronto, first towards the refugees, the students who have access to internet thanks to your generous support in last summer, and all other support that you have been providing every year. On behalf of the people whose lives have been and are being touched and transformed, thank you. It is also important to see the connection between love and hope. Because whatever we do, it begins from a place of thoughtful belief that what we are working on makes sense and is likely to happen in full or in part in our lifetime, or maybe even after we are no more. This is the liberating power of love that is open to what may happen and does not necessarily need to control or have all the control of what is happening. And that liberating power of love expressed in constant efforts, loving again and again, and hoping again and again, is what we are here for. An identity expressed in our values for a life that builds a hopeful world. That's your core and mine. Amen and blessed be.